Yo, of all the fucking, all right. Wow. All right. Okay. This is the worst option. This is the worst. I'd rather it get banned. Yeah, like it's inherently exploitative to where it's like, hey, like you'll be putting your life in danger, the most dangerous situation we can potentially think of. And that to you is like, that's the good thing. That's the benefit. That's the timeout.
Like $10 a day. It can earn a little bit more when actively fighting fires, an additional $1 an hour during emergencies.
And I think that it is not only an example of the success of the program itself, but I think it's also a criticism of the current carceral state in a state like California, where the prison structure needs desperate reform so that the entirety of the California prison system could look closer to the camp conditions that exist right now that that help, I think, tremendously in the rehabilitative process. But I think it's something that is very alarming, and it will happen a lot more in the Trump administration, in my opinion, where the American State Department and national security concerns are going to be constantly used to try to push out by force Chinese commerce from the American marketplace. Whereas there's simply concerns that we're using against a Chinese-owned, very successful social media company because we're playing foul and we don't like that they are outcompeting us in our own game. Subscribe and like the video. But also, I'm going to be talking to NBC now about the incarcerated firefighters. But also, we're going to be talking about TikTok because apparently there is really concerning news about TikTok.
Oh, really? In this moment?
Yeah. Are you looking it up? It's on the screen. It's on my second screen. Bloomberg Technology. Chinese officials are evaluating a potential option that involves Elon Musk acquiring TikTok's U.S. operations if the company fails to fend off a controversial ban on the app.
Yo, of all the... All right. Okay. This is the worst option. This is the worst. I'd rather it get banned.
Evil keeps winning, man. Evil keeps winning. All right, let's see this.
Exploitative and saying that they're not making enough money considering the risk they're taking. But this is reportedly for people behind bars. This is actually a very coveted job. Where reportedly most inmate fire crew members also receive time credits, often getting 2 days off their sentence for every day they serve on a crew. With one formerly incarcerated firefighter even telling the LA Times, every single firefighter that is out there right now, I'm sure they're proud to be there. But also every single one of those people has signed away their rights for any sort of compensation if they die on the fire ground. And then actually with all this, over the weekend, we got an even closer look into what this all looks like on the ground. With us seeing, among other things, political commentator Hasan Piker actually going out and interviewing some of the incarcerated firefighters on a stream. And one of the things you definitely see is them sort of echoing a sense of pride.
The return that we get is our second chance at life. This is a pilot program. A lot of us made decisions before our brain was able to develop, before the age of 25, so this is our second chance, and this is our second chance to prove it.
But these second chances, they're not always easy. With reports noting that once these inmates are released, many have trouble getting firefighting jobs, even though they have all this experience. Which is why we saw Hasan writing and many agreeing that many deserve this chance, that they do not deserve to be cast aside and dehumanized. And among those who agree with this idea, you had Kim Kardashian, who advocated for them over the weekend, calling them heroes and urging Gavin Newsom to raise their wages. But some people even starting fundraisers to support incarcerated firefighters. But for now, that is where we are.
How do guys do that fast?
Typical guest experience.
Not soldiers is wild.
Just a chill guy showing you the fantastic and totally normal practice of home extraction, semen extraction.
Oh my God. On the firefighters thing, I think it's really interesting the way that people talk about that, because I didn't get to see all of what you interviewed and talked to those folks about, but it's one of those things where like my dad spent a bunch of time in prison, like 17 years, and sort of like the opportunity that you get is valuable from a position of just like feeling like you can do things in prisons, but is explicitly like exploitative slavery. Like, just like, even if it's like a beneficial program, it's like, they still, if you're putting your life in danger, or just for any regular ass labor, like,
I think the reality is, like, the reality of the matter is, one thing that I got from talking to every single person there was that the conditions, because they go to fire camp, they're no longer in like a level 1 or level 2 state penitentiary, where they go to a different they go to a conservation camp, and the conservation camp conditions are infinitely better than prison. So that alone is, you know, and the fact that they get to shave time off their sentence is the coercive element. It's a good thing, ultimately. It's not a bad thing. It's a good program. But like, that motivation can only happen if prison is awful.
Yeah, like it's inherently exploitative to where it's like, hey, like you'll be putting your life in danger, the most dangerous situation we can potentially think of. And that to you is like, that's the good thing. That's the benefit. That's the timeout. It's fulfilling, but it's inherently prison is life, it's soul sucking and destroying. Like,
yeah. So there is it's still done under incredibly coercive conditions, because you're like freedom is the only thing. If freedom is the only thing you demand, is the only thing you can think of, and this gives you an easier pathway towards that freedom, then yeah, it's still absolutely has the same coercive element of slavery.
Yeah.
So, I definitely am no longer as I think it's a good program overall, but especially not even because of the sentence reduction that comes along with it, which, sentences are far too long to begin with.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly more in favor of the program than I was initially, after talking to the people there and after talking to Scott Budnick, who runs the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, who really pushed to get this pilot program launched, where these guys with the red hats from Garlesburg camp, they actually are not only youth offenders, but they're violent offenders. Normally, if you have a violent offense, you can't join this program at all. But because these guys were violent youth offenders, but under the age of 25, when they committed these crimes, when their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed, the state has allowed them this opportunity to engage in sentence reduction and participate in this program. And they're all dope. I mean, they're super cool guys. But what is this? Incarcerated firefighter camp inundated with video games following Hasan Piker interview, but others still need help. Oh my God. Oh my God. We sent them too many video games. Oh no. We've been inundated with calls on that. We got all we need here, the representative aftermath. Donations are always welcome, but be careful as to what type of things are donated to camp. I mean, ping pong paddles and pool sticks and stuff like that are fine, but when you get into video games and stuff, and then you get inundated, we don't have the capability or the need for all that stuff. Washington Ridge is one camp. There are 36 total under California Department of Corrections. That's crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a...
Yeah. This is my gaming team, my gaming editing team.
Nice. Collector's edition Among Us.
Oh no, that's crazy.
Yeah, I do find it really interesting. It's like one of those things where it's like it's fundamentally an unbelievably busted system, and so it's kind of like it's a band-aid in that system where it's like the program itself or the conditions beneficial in a lot of ways, especially for the people, especially for like morale and a lot of things. But like fundamentally, this only exists when things are as fucked as they are.
Yeah. Alders, when he has an Xbox version unspecified and a rep added, we only have so many TVs, so the camp is pretty set on games for now. But he continued, it's one break away from not having one. He noted, for example, 7,000 in gym equipment succumb to the ravages of wear and tear after just a month, so there's no guarantee that game consoles remain functional indefinitely. All this in mind, if you got a spare Xbox, feel free to send it. Those incarcerated at Deadwood 23, like their counterparts at Washington Ridge 44, have access to PS4, and they're always looking for games, according to a representative of the facility. The only restriction is that the games have to be playable offline. Otherwise, games of any age rating is fine. Growlersburg is also good on games, while Norco and Cuesta use a different system than all the other camps, going through the CDCR instead of fielding donations directly. The big takeaway, if you'd like to send your spare games or anything else to incarcerated firefighters, call ahead. Each facility has different needs, and if you want to be sure your donations are reaching their intended recipients. There's also the option to donate money to incarcerated firefighters, either via organizations like the Anti-Recidivism Coalition or to specific individuals by way of JPay. Check out Trump's Twitter. Wait, what did he say?
Although before you lock into MSNBC, do you know about the Angola prison rodeo?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, I'm from like mad close to there, and I don't know if people know about that shit. Have you ever talked about it?
Yeah, I have. And also Gremlo, who is a friend of the show, he's another Twitch streamer. He actually did a documentary there as well.
Yeah. And like when I think about like kind of just like the layers of like coercive elements where it's like, yeah, like this is necessary value getting this. It's like, yeah, these are people will want to participate in these programs.
Gremlo and Cinemarxism made a documentary about it.
Yeah, it gets to me.
He's posting boomer memes. That's what you wanted me to see?
For a second time. Brock, very nice to see you. Congratulations. So how you doing?
I'm a lot better, Dad.
Hell, I bet knew you'd win.
Oh, really? Well, come on. Anyone could beat her.
Kidding
She's
me?
just...
I was just his opponent. You know what happened? He just didn't want to leave.
I know.
Is what happened. I did what I could to help her. She was horrendous.
I know. You know what I realized? Hillary still hates me. So much. I know. She'll never forget me. We should meet to discuss
I
this.
think so too. We can definitely set something up. Let me know whatever
Oh, we
works
got-
best for you.
I was gonna fly back to Florida tomorrow for the golf.
Okay.
Who's this for? I mean, I know who it's for. But this is crazy.
It's for brave American patriots. What do you mean?
All right,
It's for real American patriots. All right, I'm gonna go into this meeting real quick, but I'll have you back to talk about TikTok in a second. It'll be a quick one. Okay, let's shut this mic off. Okay, audio on Rodecaster, speaker default, video on OBS camera. Okay, joining. Okay. I'm in 30 Rock's personal meeting room. That's kind of cool. Push that chair out of the way. Yeah, I'm gonna be on NBC now. NBC News Now.
Highway. This is some of the best real estate in...
You see the yellow tape that is blocking off this area. There's a
Hello?
neighborhood to the right, and all of these homes are sitting in that neighborhood. We have seen several ATF agents in that neighborhood walking, and they even were up in the hill at one point. They came down on ATVs and
Hello, Mr. Piker. This is David with Stay Tuned Now. NBC News Now. Can you hear me okay?
that,
Yeah,
and
I
it
can
made
hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. How about the show, the program, when I'm not speaking? Do you hear that at a good level?
we do
Yeah.
know based on
Yeah,
sources.
it's loud.
Confirm that your signal is in sync, that audio matches your video. Can I get a count to 5, please?
Incidental
Yeah.
to a cigarette butt
1,
being
2, 3, 4,
have not given us
5.
any indication, but you can see some of the video.
Yeah, it's spot on. Question, that device or camera that you're using, can you tilt it down at all, or can you sit up?
No. I can zoom in maybe.
Okay.
Wait, is that good?
It's a little tight. Can you zoom back out just a hair?
What are people around there saying?
Hold on.
There's no one in the neighborhood, so we believe this neighborhood is still evacuated.
better?
So there's only law enforcement.
Yeah, zoom out just a hair more, and then I'll take it from there, please.
And all this is...
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I can take it from there.
All right,
continue.
perfect.
All right, thank you.
They believe that for insured homeowners, it could cost $30 billion. And other insurers and other companies are putting out more estimates saying that the damage in total could cost.
It looks like we might be losing Dana there. But again, she was talking about the estimates, and I think she said $30 billion. And of course, those are estimates that are preliminary right now, and they could continue to climb. Dana Griffin, thank you so much. And again, we've got connectivity issues out here. We're using a...
Hey, and sorry, could that mic, can you move it a little bit? Yeah, a little bit lower. There you go.
Are in Mal.
Okay.
From there.
It just
Thank
needs
you.
to
Have a
still
good time.
remain
Thank you.
relatively close to
Right
my
now,
face.
we want to show you a different perspective. Check this out. On the left is a video that was taken by a couple in May of last year. On the right, journalists followed those exact footsteps to
I'm
show
actually
you
increasing
the
my
scale
audio as well,
of
just so you know,
destruction.
because it automatically
I mean,
decreases it.
Words fail here. Let's bring in
So-
Ellison Barber. She is out in Altadena, California.
Oh, okay, copy. Thank you for the head.
The people are
Can you
trying
hear
to
it?
get
Yeah, I
back
just
home.
I just
We've seen the
readjusted my
frustration
volume settings on
at
my
the
end
roadblocks.
Yeah, I
because
hear
it
you,
automatically lowers it.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, you know, we spent the last couple days at one of those roadblocks. A lot of people frustrated they couldn't get in. Police at some points were
Hey there, Hasan. This is Mitch with NBC. How are you?
I'm good.
three
How are you?
cars every few minutes.
Thanks for making time for us. Can you just say your name for me, please?
Frustrated, feeling
Hasan
like they didn't know
Piker?
what was going on.
Hasan Piker. Great. You'll be up next in the show. Gotti is our anchor. Gotti is our anchor.
What is
Okay.
left of their homes, or if they believe their homes were still standing, to get some basic necessities.
When we talk, you might hear a rap cue from me. That just gently means to finish up your point, but you don't need to rush.
at one of those
Okay, thank you.
checkpoints, and as this long line of cars and people on foot were waiting, asking police, when can we go in, a car drove by on loudspeaker saying there will be no escorts today. And today at a press conference, we heard from the LAPD, and they said they have temporarily halted
no need to be
all of those
nervous.
police escorts into the hard-hit areas, the
did this
mandatory
yesterday
evacuation
already.
zones, saying that it was simply not safe to continue doing those. I think we have some footage we can show you of some of the people and the lines that we saw throughout all of this as that police car drove by over the loudspeaker saying there will be no escorts today. We were actually in the middle of an interview with a woman. That video right there, that is me going to her house. We were talking with her, and she was talking about how she and her fiance lived with her fiance's 81-year-old mother. She bought their home in Pacific Palisades 42 years ago. She was telling us how a lot of people have this concept that these fires have mostly impacted wealthy people and celebrities. And they were saying, we've lived here 42 years. We don't have a lot of means. She worked for a nonprofit. Her fiance worked at a storage unit facility. The owner of the home was 81 years old, and she was saying how they didn't know what to do. I asked her, as all of the cars started leaving, what were you trying to get? And I said, it's a long shot, but can I take your address? And we would be up kind of in that area anyways. We ended up being able to make our way to the house between live shots and went in, and she gave me really specific directions, texted me, telling me where things were located, and we were able to get some medicine and medical supplies that 81-year-old, her name was Judy, needed. And while I was in there, I also saw some family photos, and so I grabbed those because I thought maybe they would like to have those at where they're temporarily staying. And it was a brief moment where we had the opportunity to help someone while we were doing our jobs. And so our team, we took that and went and helped that one person. But there are so many people that are still wishing they could have some help. They could get home. They could get necessities. And it's really frustrating, even if they understand the safety concerns, that they can't come back to their homes and see what is left of them, or if they're still standing, get some basic things. Because, Gotti, so many people were looking at me and saying, these are the only clothes I had. I just ran, and I kind of just want to get underwear, just like the most basic things you can imagine, because they're just living off of whatever they had with them when they had to run and flee for their lives. Gotti.
Yeah, and at those roadblocks, I mean, frustration is continuing to rise, and yet they're still grid searching Altadena, right? Any word on how long that could go?
Yeah, I mean, we've been spending most of the day today in Altadena with some of those search and rescue teams, and they're saying they are doing search and recovery missions now. They are on day 3 of a grid search in this area. They are going meticulously, block by block, looking for people, remains, also at times having to stop to put out hot spots like we saw at this business again today in the downtown main Altadena area. They say that the fact that they're doing these search and recovery missions here is one of the other reasons why they simply can't let people back into these areas. Officials saying today, we are literally looking for the remains of your neighbors. They told us that they are prioritizing going to homes, locations where they had incomplete 911 calls, where someone had called 911 at the peak of the fires, seemingly in distress, and then that call disconnected. They're going to those homes and then also searching in areas where family members, loved ones have reported people as missing, to see if they can find them and most likely recover their remains. One thing that was horrific to hear, but they said one area where they really are
about a minute away, and Gotti will bring you right in.
On people, they look for water because that's the safest option, and they believe there are people who maybe did that and then didn't make it out. That death toll is expected to rise in the coming days. The question is how high, and the hope is that it won't be too much higher, but there are still at least 24 people unaccounted for and considered missing by fire and police officials here. Gotti.
Yeah, so grim. Ellison Barber, praying for a miracle. Thank you so much for your reporting. Meanwhile, as we talk about all these multi-million-dollar homes, there are some very important people on the fire lines who are finally getting to share their voice as well, in part thanks to a pretty big Twitch streamer, Hasan Piker. You might have already seen shots of inmates out there on the fire lines. Right now, there are like 900 to 1,000 of them. It's a program that's been around for a while here in California, but what is catching people's attention, well, part of it is the pay. It's like $10 a day. They can earn a little bit more when actively fighting fires, an additional $1 an hour during emergencies, and working in that program can also get them some time off their sentence, and for some, record expungement. But joining us now is Twitch streamer and YouTuber Hasan Piker. He lives out here in LA. He headed out to where they've been staging to help shed some light on what they do that help the rest of us out here. Hasan, thanks so much for being with you. But before we get into this, I do want to play a clip of this interview for viewers. It was a fascinating interview. I think you talked to a man by the name of Williams. Let's take a quick look.
Right now they're on break, right? They're doing 24 hours off. But when you're back out there, you sleep out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So they give you like what? Like they give you gear and then they give you like sleeping
This is
gear.
pretty much what you got right here. And then you got your Nomex on, your Nomex shirt on. But
That's it?
Yeah, that's all.
They don't give you like they don't give you any sleeping gear?
No, not on the mountain.
And Hasan, we've been with inmate crews. I've never seen them give such insight as they did with you. If you get a chance, anybody that's watching, they should check out your whole clip. What was your impression of what it's like for them and the work that they're doing right now?
I had an incredible opportunity to be able to talk to these guys directly, uninterrupted, in a very real setting when they were on their 24-hour break. Because of the wonderful work that Scott Budnick, he's a Hollywood producer, and he started the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, is doing specifically with the incarcerated firefighters. And in that process, I found their experience to be very dignified from their own assessment. The fact that they were able to contribute back to their communities was something that they truly appreciated. In terms of the opportunity, although the conditions are still obviously very grim. And one of the major things that they brought up was, of course, the wages, as you guys also pointed out to. Right now, I believe it's around $24 a day when they're actively fighting wildfires. And I think that is one area that desperately needs improvement. Another thing that I was also shocked by was the fact that in order to be able to volunteer for this program, you actually leave prison and go to a conservation camp to get training, and then you remain there when you're not actively out in the field fighting fires. And one thing that they mentioned were the comparably much more humane conditions at conservation camps. Some of the inmates reported that they had access to weight training facilities and like actual real weights. Apparently in California prisons, you don't have access to real weights any longer. And little things like that, I think, go a very long way in making inmates feel human again, and making inmates feel like real people rather than cogs in a machine. And I think that is tremendously helpful in rehabilitation and the rehabilitative process, and also helping them reintegrate back into society after they're done serving their time.
One of the most fascinating parts of the interview, I thought, was when you started to ask them about what this was like compared to what it's like in lockup. If we have some of that, can we play a little quick clip there?
Is it better than being in prison or no? It's way better, because I was in a prison yard. I'm seeing guys get stabbed, get jumped, get beat up. The cops treat us like. But here, we get better treatment, right? They talk to us like humans. They talk to us like humans. We got a job. We're underpaid, but we got a job. Yeah. Feel me? And then the community comes out and shows us all kinds of love. We never received that growing up. We never received that kind of love, that kind of recognition in anything we've done. So now, doing this kind of stuff and all this love coming, that's life-changing.
Yeah, we never received that growing up. I mean, like, again, this interview is absolutely fascinating. Do you think it's working?
I think the Incarcerated Firefighter program is pretty successful in terms of finding a lot of the people that are slated for rehabilitation, and it seemingly has been very successful as far as what they have reported. Another thing that they kept repeating over and over again was the fact that inside of the camp structure, there's a lot more unity. There's no racial tension or animosity of the sort. There's no violence, because they desperately do not want to go back to the regular prison structure, as Kimbo also pointed out right there, because there's a lot of violence in regular prison. And I think that it is not only an example of the success of the program itself, but I think it's also a criticism of the current carceral state in a state like California, where the prison structure needs desperate reform, so that the entirety of the California prison system could look closer to the camp conditions that exist right now, that help, I think, tremendously in the rehabilitative process.
Yeah, it's so cool to see the sense of pride and giving back to the community. I mean, we all owe them a huge thanks, and thanks to you for helping shed light on what they're going through. I mean, we've been on the fire lines, and fire lines are hell. So kudos to all those guys that are out there doing the work. Hasan Piker, thanks so much for joining us, brother.
Thanks for having me.
We've got a lot more to get to tonight here from.
Thanks, Hasan. Have a great night.
All right.
Break.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
I'm going to talk to Sam Brock. He has got the other.
All right. And we're out. Okay. We're going to talk about TikTok now. We'll talk about the TikTok ban with a TikToker, Christian Divine. Even though my mom is yapping right now, I can hear her in the background. It's kind of funny that my brother's in the background of all those clips. What are they saying? I don't know what they're talking about. I can't hear them. What news was that? That was NBC. How you feel it went? There's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. I'm never happy with my performance in mainstream news. Can you lower your mic, please? Shut up. No, that was not local LA news. That's a national network. That's NBC. It's crazy though that like I'm talking to a guy who's on the ground in Los Angeles, like maybe a couple miles away, and he's running the program from the ground. That's wild to do. Anyway, Christian, you want to come back? I'm done. That's a win. You got their voices in front of so many people. Yeah. I think they wanted you to talk more. No, that's the delay, chat. That's just the delay.
As hell. All right, got it.
Did it work? Are you good? I love the work. Try to avoid saying or so many times. It's hard, man. I know.
Oh, is it just about the interview?
Yeah.
Word.
All right. So let's get to one of the top news stories of the day. TikTok getting banned. Christian, take it away.
I actually listened to all of the. Did they announce? Because they're not supposed to announce an opinion till Wednesday. But I did listen to the entire of the the Supreme Court like open hearing, and like there's a whole thing happening right now where if you look up like any news article, it'll be like Supreme Court absolutely striking down like system, and it didn't sound that way. But it doesn't sound like TikTok has a very good case. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think that they're using whatever like legal restrictions that they can, whatever legal jargon that they can, to just like functionally take TikTok away from ByteDance, at least the US operations, and give it to an American owner.
Yeah, basically that's like the one thing that it's really sitting on.
Well, I don't think it's valid. What are you doing?
Thank you so much.
What is that? What?
Peppermint tea.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
But the big thing.
What is the other thing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. My mom is okay.
Nicest lady. I will say that explicitly though, like the big thing is that like, so whoever, the U.S. Solicitor General, I can't remember her name. She was really big on like trying to advocate that like, oh, there's like a special danger from China like this, and the Supreme Court literally laughed at her. There were multiple moments in which the entire court laughed, and one of those things was they were like, oh, like she was like, we think that China might be operating to get Americans to argue with one another, and justices were like, I don't think China has to like do that. But the thing where TikTok's gonna get like fucked at is that specifically they're trying to argue that the banning of TikTok is a free speech argument, right? That it crucially separates free speech. But because there is the clause about like divestment from ByteDance, they're like, technically TikTok could still operate. And since TikTok could still operate if they divested from a Chinese company, which is not like protected by free speech rights, then technically this free speech is still an option if they sold American. And so that's what I think, that if TikTok does get banned, that's what's gonna fuck it. Like,
yeah, and I think the argument being made on the other side is that the legal grounds for this is like an old radio law that like no radio stations are. There's a limited amount of space for who can operate like a radio station. So I think it's like foreign nationals cannot operate a radio station or something. It's like
something like that. But even
part of the argument that they're making.
You can't argue that because there's been multiple, like the things that the TikTok lawyers brought up, or the pro TikTok lawyers brought up, was that like there were multiple in the 1950s at the height of the Cold War with like the Foreign Adversaries Act, articles that published communist, like not even just like, oh, we're a communist org here in the States and we're proud, because it was like blatant and like totally there, right? And so that's not allowed. Like the entirety, the standing ground on there being an explicit danger from China basically got laughed at. The bigger problem is whether or not it's legal in the first place, and it seems like because they are allowing that divestment clause, that technically that might be legal. It's gonna fuck me if it gets banned, but
I don't think it's gonna get banned.
You don't think so? You think they're gonna do a stay?
No, I don't think it's gonna get banned. I think that the ownership structure of ByteDance is complicated, but I think people just don't understand exactly how much of ByteDance is also owned by like Americans.
Yeah.
Like one of the major investors of ByteDance is the Carlyle Group.
Really?
Yeah. People think that it's like entirely controlled by the Chinese government or something. And of course there is control over TikTok and ByteDance specifically by the Chinese government. It's in their law. Having said that, however, I believe like the ownership percentages, I believe that the ownership percentages of TikTok are marked. Rest of the people that own it, there's employees all around the world that have some percentage of ownership, and outside of that, there are a bunch of American institutional investors that are slated to lose billions of dollars of revenue if the ownership of TikTok is forcibly ripped away from the hands of ByteDance. So here's some. Who owns TikTok's parent company, ByteDance? TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, was founded by Chinese entrepreneurs. ByteDance is a privately held global company, roughly 60% owned by global institutional investors such as BlackRock, General Atlantic, Susquehanna International Group, 20% owned by the company's founders, and 20% owned by its employees, including over 7,000 US-based employees. It is not owned or controlled by any government or state-controlled entity. Now, having said that, of course, this is TikTok's own website.
Yeah.
So obviously, when they say, there's no control over it, of course there is.
Yeah.
But I think the question comes into, the question comes down to like, do you care if the Chinese government has access to your information? One of the biggest fears that people have apparently is that because a lot of young people, virtually every single young person in the United States of America uses TikTok. What if those guys then what if those guys one day become, senators or Supreme Court justices, and then like China has all this compromise on them? And I find that to be ridiculous. I find that to be a funny fear that they have. And also, and I've maintained this position for quite some time, the notion that like TikTok is getting like a tremendous trove of data is a hilarious argument to make in the United States of America, where like if the Chinese government wanted to get this trove of data, they could just buy it from a data broker.
In fact, like the thing is, I think where I was shocked by the Supreme Court thing is that like the Supreme Court brought this up, right? They grilled either side really hard, and when the pro-ban, the Solicitor General, was talking, she was like, there's a unique and covert threat from China, and they were like, this is what separates this from any other tech company? Like, what makes this any different? And fundamentally, they couldn't argue that this was an especially unique threat from anything. So like, yeah, like it's a very funny like fear mongering argument. Shout out to Zuckerberg for I can't remember the name of the there's like a media group or a pushing group, so he could like push these, like he put like 100 mil into it or something. But like it's a whole thing where they're trying to be like, no, like they're gonna get your kids, they're gonna convince your kids that like Xi Jinping is like the guy you gotta love.
Yeah, well, too late, I say.
Have you seen the Red Note stuff?
Yeah, I have. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to break this down a little bit further. This is also another interesting part of this process, which is that ByteDance's board of directors is comprised of 5 individuals, and the CEO obviously is Singaporean.
Yeah.
Although if you ask Tom Cotton, that's basically Chinese, but a different kind of Chinese. What kind of Chinese are you? Yeah, exactly. Are you Chinese or Japanese? Arthur Danchik, Susquehanna International Group, U.S. based. Bill Ford, General Atlantic. Philip Lafont, Coat Management, U.S. based. And then Neil Shine, Sequoia, Hong Kong based. So that's what's that's what's silly about this process as well, because with how global finance capital operates, like it's virtually impossible to have a product that is so expansive, that is used by billions of people globally. It's virtually impossible for institutional investors to not, especially American institutional investors, to not in some way, shape, or form be involved in the profit-making side of things. So I think it's hilarious, like red baiting, anti-Chinese sentiment. And I think the real reasons, like there are multiple different parties involved in the banning of TikTok, and each of them have their own unique little interests. Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg and obviously Google, for example, absolutely want to eviscerate TikTok because they want to be TikTok. They see every moment that people are spending on TikTok is a moment they could be spending on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels. So of course they want that market share. They want that delicious, juicy market share for the ADL and the Israel lobby. It's an entity that is uncontrollable and is not susceptible to the same censorious whims that, you know, Western social media companies are. So then that's another problem.
Yeah, no, like people getting blasted straight footage from Gaza for like the entire thing. Like,
yeah. So that's a genuine. I think that's literally the straw that broke the camel's back. Really, I think that's when because obviously Donald Trump, even when he was president, talked about wanting to ban TikTok by executive authority, and then, you know, they passed the buck down to Congress, and a lot of legislation was passed around. But post October 7, there was enough momentum. Especially because people could not comprehend why so many people under the age of 35 had demonstrated sympathy towards Palestinians. They were like, what the fuck is going on? We need to put an end to this. So TikTok was seemingly the responsible culprit. And that was, you know, that was a great way to kick this over the finish line. And that's why it happened. But I think it's something that is very alarming, and it will happen a lot more in the Trump administration, in my opinion, where the American State Department and national security concerns are going to be constantly used to try to push out by force Chinese commerce from the American marketplace.
Yeah, it's genuinely a stress test. There's not even like, it's kind of listening to them argue about it. There's not even a precedent. There's no case that works or operates in this exact same way. And it's more of a stress test for what they can do with the law and how much they can get rid of. And there's 4 countries listed under the Foreign Adversary Protection from Foreign Adversaries Act. It's like China, Iran, Russia.
Venezuela.
Is Venezuela in there?
Cuba.
Yeah, I think it's just like 4 nations where they're like, oh yeah, we can basically determine that like things from this nation are inherently threats and dangerous as a way to like, it's a stress test. It's
because American infrastructure is so dog shit and so crippled that we recently found out that like the Chinese espionage agencies have almost complete access to telecommunications in the United States of America. Because our telecommunications infrastructure is so old and antiquated, and therefore, like there are numerous ways in which if China wanted to spy on American citizens, they could do that.
They could do that. They could do it.
They don't need to do it through TikTok. I think TikTok ultimately it causes a lot of brain rot, but so does every other application. And if there was any sort of serious interest in trying to curb the brain rot or try to combat against misinformation, we would first and foremost apply EU-style regulation on all social media platforms. If privacy was an issue, we would abolish data brokers and we would do more to protect people's privacy. These are not real concerns. These are not valid concerns. These are simply concerns that we're using against
market share and operating in ways that they cannot explicitly control in the same way that they can, Zuckerberg just got rid of fact checking. Right? Like, it's like a whole thing.
And before people say like TikTok is so leftist or whatever, because that's another concern that like right wingers have. It's not.
It's not.
Out of all of the social media platforms, the only difference with TikTok as opposed to like Facebook or whatever is that there's almost like a 50-50 split of left wing versus right wing sentiment. That's the only difference. Every other platform, the right dominates almost in its entirety, whether you go to YouTube, whether you go to Facebook, or dare I say, the neo-Nazi safe haven of Twitter, now known as X. There's a tremendous amount of right-wing garbage that is created right-wing echo chambers. TikTok, on the other hand, quite literally is the only place where there's like at least some semblance of parity in terms of the political correspondence and communication. And that's precisely the reason why people are very frustrated by it. I mean, look at this. Look, news influencers, but this isn't even a great study for the record. Like, this is not a great study because it just simply looked at news influencers. But across all websites, it's 27% right-leaning and 21% left-leaning. On Facebook, it's 39% right-leaning. And this is before Mark Dick Zuckerberg came out and was like gargling on Donald Trump's shit on the Joe Rogan Experience to be like, please like me. I'm not the woke lord that you guys think I am. I hate trans people, you know? Instagram is a 30 to 25% split. TikTok is a 25 to 28% split. It's the only platform where there's almost a complete parity, but with the left-leaning content and leftist sentiment is a little bit higher than right-leaning sentiment. Twitter is at a 28% to 21%, and YouTube is at a 28% to 21% split. So that's the real fear that people have, alongside with the fact that they can't get immediate backdoor into TikTok if they ever chose to do so, as far as I understand.
Yeah, they can't. So.
Even though the data is also, from what I understand, the data is also stored in Oracle facilities now, because they took initiative and changed the way that the data was stored, right?
It's that's even mid. I will say that they are taking actions to protect it, but I can't remember what the case was. But ByteDance significantly more steps than every other social media app operating in the United States. But they're still data brokers. They're still fucking around with the data. It's like they've just made more of an effort because they're under such more scrutiny.
Yeah. I think ultimately we as American consumers usually understand that, or at least the people that are knowledgeable on this understand that our information is not private.
Yeah.
So for many people, they don't give a fuck if the information is being stored by PRC, Communist Party of China, Politburo chief, or if it's being stored by someone who's going to sell it off to an advertiser.
Right.
They don't care. So that's it.
Fundamentally,
why would you care? What are they going to do with it?
Like they're going to say no one, the average person, your life is not so important that like the PRC with your data is like this whole scare tech. It's like they are all selling it for advertising purposes. They are all selling it for this. And to be honest, people know this now and they do not give a fuck. Like they don't care. It took my data and all my algorithms to show me more cat videos, I guess. Like that's really it at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I still, because there's so much money involved and because many small businesses that have started on TikTok, I said this when the first piece of legislation passed, I was like, I don't think that this will happen. And I still maintain that position because there are billions of dollars of commerce happening on TikTok and
in a nonpartisan way, very anti-American citizen, where people stand to lose so much. People built their businesses, people built their lives, people who aren't just people doing dances, which respect people doing dances, but it's truly people have built businesses, their lives, supplemental income, all off of TikTok.
Here's some fun little info. This video by popular TikTok personality Soupy is going viral with 1.2 million likes and 3.9 million views in 15 hours. Gen Z is not happy. Let's see.
Fascist countries ban apps. Fascist countries ban websites. Fascist.
Okay, I don't know. I mean,
I think that there's I don't
think it's a fascism to ban apps.
I do think that one of the fun parts of TikTok brain rot is I talk about this a lot, where it's the think piece format, where we've all watched so many think piece videos that now there's it's like YouTuber voice, but for
there's TikToker voice, unaliving what people say. Yeah. When I get hit with unalive in the real world, it zaps my brain. I'm too 33 years old to comprehend what you're saying. All right, let's continue.
Countries ban apps and websites under the guise of threats to national security, when every other country knows it's about suppressing the free speech of its citizens. If the government believes that a single app could, quote from the hearing on the 10th, skew the perspective of American citizens to be anti-American, maybe the real problem is that American citizens are already in such a state of political unrest and unhappiness that our government is scared a single foreign influence could tip the scale and have it all be over. Don't you think that by taking away the, and I quote, key communications channel of Americans, it's gonna make those 170 million Americans a little more anti-American? Maybe Congress knows and understands that. Maybe the government knows.
I think that I don't know anybody in Congress like that, but I think that they kind of overestimate. I think they kind of overestimated how much the American people hate China, because they don't hate China more than we hate our own government.
That's not true. I think a lot of Americans, a lot of normie Americans fucking despise China. There is so much, there's an endless faucet of hatred, anti-Chinese sentiment, because like you have to remember, how old are you?
30.
You're 30 years old. Okay. But you're predominantly on TikTok. You see a lot of TikTok stuff. It's not a secret that TikTok is fantastic for pro-China sentiment.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. I actually like that. I love that, as a matter of fact. I think it's awesome. We should have pro all of the country's sentiment being expressed. But I think average Americans definitely have a great distrust. Part of it is due to Orientalist attitudes. Part of it is obviously white supremacy. But the average American is genuinely fearful. But what is the common factor? What is the unifying principle of all Americans? That we are descendants of Adolf Treatler, okay? We love our treats. We fucking love our treats. And TikTok is treats. It's like jalapeno poppers and crack at the same time. So when you have 170 million people that are slammed onto their treat of looking at TikTok videos, whether it be people dancing or cat videos or very autistic, taking that away will be very frustrating for many Americans.
That's fair. That's fair.
I wouldn't say that they like China, but I think they love TikTok.
Yeah, I just think that like what I'm trying to say is that like explicitly like Americans do have a lot of like anti-Chinese sentiment.
China has a 81% unfavorable.
I just don't think we hate China more than we hate at least hate it enough to like get rid of the app. That makes sense. I think just like even though with the unfavorable reviews, like the way this polling works is like how much do we actively care about the threat of China today versus like 30 years ago?
I'm telling you right now, Americans despise China. They would bomb Beijing if given the opportunity. Okay. But I promise you, they don't give a fuck that TikTok is owned by China. That's just the way I see it. Like they will get, I think, boomers use TikTok too, chatters. You're wrong if you think that old people don't use TikTok. They use TikTok. Boomers hate China. Everybody hates China. Like a lot of Americans do, but they love TikTok. That's it. And I think boomers are the best posters on TikTok. Yeah, exactly. They're great. And TikTok is great overall. And people really enjoy it. And it's a treat. And people don't have anything if they don't have treats. The entire American project revolves around easily accessible treats. If a consumer good doesn't enter the marketplace and is banned before it can ever enter the marketplace, like BYD, like Yangwang 9 or whatever, all of these like wonderful Chinese electric vehicles, then that's fine. Yeah, you can stave that off by never allowing it to enter the American marketplace. But once a treat has entered the marketplace, it is very hard to take that away, in my opinion. So that's the way I think about it. Like I think people will be very upset if TikTok is taken away.
Yeah. Are there statistics on like how many people explicitly wanted TikTok banned?
I don't have an opinion poll on that. That says that there is even more than 20% of Americans that want TikTok banned. Fair. Half of this country is on TikTok. They love that shit.
That the backlash it will receive from banning TikTok does not outweigh the threats that come with its existence.
Okay, this is the other thing that I want to mention. Make sure you don't show your phone, by the way. The other thing that I want to mention is the American government does not give a fuck about democratic sentiment. I mean, come on. Look at the Supreme Court banning abortion after lying to the American public about how it's a super precedent and how they would never touch that. Look at Israel-Palestine. The overwhelming majority of Americans are like, bro, why are we giving money to Israel? They're killing babies. Like, I don't even care about killing babies, but like, fix the fucking potholes instead of giving it to Israel. Like, and the American government's like, nah, dog. Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say give more money to Israel? Because that's what I'm going to fucking do. So like, they don't give a shit about democracy.
About what people care about, even a little bit. I think that's like, people underestimate how much people just care about like how much food costs and how hard it is to get to work. Like gas prices and food is like
support for a U.S. TikTok ban continues to decline, and half of adults doubt it will happen. 32% support a ban.
That makes sense.
Even amid the decline in support for banning TikTok, views remain divided by political party. Republicans and Republican-leaning independents are far more likely than Democrats and Democratic leaners to support a ban. Yeah, I just don't. Oh my God. Especially, I would love to see this after. I would love to see this after Donald Trump said he wants TikTok to remain.
From September.
Yeah, this is from September, but this is now that Trump has come out in defense of TikTok. Who knows?
Oh yeah, people are.
Yeah,
save me, Donald Trump.
Yeah, please. Oh my God, my goat, my king. So, I think that the terrifying precedent that a lot of people is through. There are so. So yeah, I know it's probably a good thing, but
sorry.
But my point is the American government on background are also moving. The American military specifically has moved to put these companies in the crosshairs, considering it a foreign military asset. Okay, no more TP-Link routers. This is another thing that they want to take away.
Yeah.
No more DJI drones. Like the overwhelming majority of the drone marketplace is flooded by Chinese drones, Chinese goods. The overwhelming majority, I mean, there's so many routers that they are claiming are being utilized by the Chinese military as a way to spy on Americans. So I'm telling you right now, PC parts, like virtually everything that you own at some point has touched a Chinese hand, okay? That's it. It's the manufacturing hub of the planet. So therefore, it is absolutely ridiculous to try to make these kinds of bans work, and they will apply it whenever enough wealthy people in a specific sector find Chinese manufacturing to be too competitive. Yeah. Insane take about China, the country most directly responsible for destroying the manufacturing base of this country by working hand in hand with neolibs you despise. But yeah, let's flood with cheap BYD cars and end manufacturing here and embrace reactionism and send us off in the MAGAville. Okay, H-Bizzle, calm down. I'm not saying that, okay? Also, how about Ford not stop the production of electric vehicles? I'm not saying, that we should. No, that's not bait. H-Bizzle works in the AFL-CIO. He works for the UAW. So obviously, he has a very different approach to this. And I'm not even against trade protectionist policies. I'm not against protectionist policies. We're talking about goods that have no competitive domestically manufactured product. Okay, that's it. Also, I like that you're talking shit about BYD and Chinese products, because the major reason why we're not allowing it to flood the American marketplace is because they're not only inexpensive, but they're also better. And that's not my attitude. Fucking Jim Farley said that, okay? That's not me. The main man said it. Ford Motor Company. The Ford Motor Company's very own. Jim Farley's like, damn, dude. These Chinese EVs are crazy. Funny. Anyway, we don't design the cars. We only build them. Okay, I know. I'm just saying. Big difference between materials and entertainment. No, the car manufacturing industry is one of the major industries that still has domestic manufacturing, even though many of that has also been sold off into, Mexico and Canada as well through other trade agreements. But my point is, I don't think it's especially with no competitive domestic manufacturing capabilities, it's idiotic to just be like, no, we're taking this treat away from you. And especially as it pertains to TikTok, I have no issue with TikTok whatsoever. I think it's completely ridiculous to try to ban it, especially when it is probably one of my weakest platforms overall. I don't spend any time on it. I mean, I do spend time on it as a consumer now more than ever, but I don't spend any time on it making content specifically for TikTok. But I also recognize the placement.
Nice Luigi Mangione memes. It's got something where it's like if it allows you to communicate things in a way and get it to an audience so much more effectively than like other formats have been for me. Like things like for me personally as like a consumer, I feel like disability justice, like I would have had as much access to without disabled creators who make things.
Also, one of the funniest things is to get mad not at American capitalists who offshored manufacturing to China, but instead to get mad at the Chinese. This is the reverse. This is the reverse of the funny sentiment that I always clown on when people go, I don't care about the American ruling class. I want the American workers to suffer. But it's like in reverse. It's like, I don't care about the real villains that shipped manufacturing overseas. I want the Chinese to suffer. Fuck the Chinese. That's the real problem here. They did this because they wanted to destroy American manufacturing. Yeah, dude. When the agrarian society,
Yeah.
and the peasant class was like, one day, American manufacturing will come here and we will destroy the labor aristocracy in America. KKK. That's what they were saying. God. Thank God for Richard Nixon, my goat. Well, they do say that in China, to be fair, but I get why they say that. Anyway, so let's hear what this guy had to say.
Somebody who could save TikTok.
Shout out.
Save it.
What was that, boss? You're gonna make TikTok an offer they can't refuse?
Yeah, this is why
This
it's
is
so funny.
incredible.
This is why it's so funny when people are like, only Zoomers are on TikTok. It's like, no, look at this guy, man.
Yeah.
This is the most boomer guy you could find, dude. This is the most Midwestern aesthetic. Look at look at this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know people wore beanies like that. Wrote it that low.
No, that's the 2009 special.
In 2020, he's 22. No, he's not.
Yo, no, they got them young millennials on TikTok. It is impressive.
You heard it from him. You ready for a cigar too? The finest Cubans.
Hot take. We should let dogs smoke.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
No, this is for sure. I will say, like, statistically, a solid third of my audience is above the age of 35 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. They're old as shit.
Not banning this app because it's Chinese. They're banning this app because it's left-leaning. TikTok is the most left-leaning voices out of any social media platform, especially the ones that are owned by...
Okay, but it's not saying much. Like, no. Even TikTok has like the closest to parody in terms of like the ideological leanings. That's it. That's the only thing that is a major problem. Okay.
American oligarchs such as Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Fuck. The only reason why they're getting rid of this app is because you keep on seeing videos that are pro-Palestinian, that are anti-American establishment, that are pro-liberation of minorities across the planet. Everything that you see on this app is directly antithetical to hyper-capitalist profit. And these oligarchical pieces of shit at the top, they don't care about you.
No, TikTok's still about profit.
Oh yeah,
it's still about like the pro-Palestine stuff is big, but it's about the money.
No,
like.
You don't understand. Welcome to the club. You guys are joining India and banning TikTok. Oh my God, if you told a racist that, maybe they'll turn on it. They'll be like, "What? We're following India? No way."
Dude, people are mad racist against India.
That's what I'm
blows
saying.
My mind,
Holy
dude.
shit! We just cracked the code, bro. Damn, we just cracked the code. You just weaponize anti-Indian racism against defending TikTok.
Oh my God.
It's true. I don't know if I want to be lectured by a guy who looks like he listens to Bass Nectar. Okay, calm down. Christian probably no, but Christian probably knows all these guys and is friends with them. Okay, we have a TikToker in our midst.
That's true. I don't know this person. If we pull up a video,
we're gonna pull up accidentally one of your friends, and I'm gonna clown on him, and you oops, get canceled. Didn't you get canceled recently or something?
Yeah, but okay. Here's the thing. I can't talk about it because the whole allegation is that I improperly use my platform against smaller creators, and this is the biggest platform I could be on right now.
Okay, don't.
So
I love doing that. I love shitting out small creators. I'm like, fuck you, stay small.
No. The only thing I want to say is quick shout out to my favorite biracial person, Babytron. A, that's for active. B for Blick. Hit him, make him do a backflip. And that's the only thing I want to say on my drama. So
I have no idea what you just said.
Someone will understand.
They don't care about your First Amendment right. The only thing that they would like to send your body overseas to go fight in a foreign war for two reasons. One, it's useful. Two, if you're dead, you're quiet.
Okay, bro, this guy, I mean, he's a little bit too dramatic.
It's the TikTok voice where it's like, you really got to escalate.
But I mean, they're not, like, the thing is, I just don't, like, they're not completely wrong, but they're just, like, hitting the drama a little too hard. You know what I mean? It's like, they want to ban TikTok because they want to.
Yeah. No, they
want to kill you dead.
It's a little up there, but, you know.
Screaming, never stop making content, overflow.
Oh, shit, he follows me. It's great. This is a great TikTok.
Oh, no. Shout out to this guy.
I do this all the time.
Scroll down a little.
Sometimes I'll watch a TikTok and I'm like, this is the worst. I'm not saying that about this guy, but sometimes I'll watch a TikTok where I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And the person who made this should feel responsible. Like there was that one lady who was like, I grew up in Miami with Cubans. I'm not Cuban myself, but Ana de Armas is like disrespectful to Cuba for dating the Fidel Castro's like son or whatever.
Oh, well, that's
or no, not Fidel Castro's son. Was it the son of the Cuban president or something? And I was just like, I just ripped into this lady like nonstop. I was like, this fucking psycho. Like, what are you saying? Like, Ana de Armas literally, like, she lived in Cuba till she was 18. And then I scroll down and it's like, follows you.
Yo,
and then and then chatters were saying I met her at the DNC, and I was like, oh no.
Fuck, dude.
I was like, damn, this sucks.
That's a bad take, though. I mean, it's a bad opinion to have. Sometimes people have bad opinions.
I mean, I'm not saying he has a bad opinion. I feel like it's just like maybe a little more aggressive than I.
No, not him disrespecting Cuba by dating the descendant.
Oh yeah,
of Castro.
yeah.
That's a bad take. This is just a dramatic take. But I mean, yeah.
Miguel Diaz-Canel's son, the Cuban president. Thank you.
The rest of these goddamn shitty social media apps with your voice, and above all else, never stop fighting. I love you.
I think it's one of the things where TikTok derogatory is one of the best platforms for theater kids, and watching videos like that reminds me. It's like, yeah, we all get in our bag a little.
I found the drama Christian was talking about. He's 100% right, by the way. Okay, I don't know what the drama is, but we don't need to get into it.
I'll get into it. If I talk about it, I'm gonna get crucified. That's dramatic.
If you really want your brain melted, have Christian explain the Beyonce saga. I heard about the Beyonce saga. It's the Beyonce's giving fascist aesthetics, right? Like American patriotism.
Okay, so this became a whole thing, right? I'll go up to before it gets to my beef. Basically, there's a creator on here who made a video.
Is that the beef?
Okay, so basically,
I don't get into it if you're gonna get.
No, I'm not gonna get in trouble for this part. Basically, a creator who is my mutual, a black TikTok war about like Beyonce and propaganda, because like the message of Beyonce's album is very like about like black people in the South and like the ways in which flags, stuff like that, and it became a whole debate, and it now we're debating whether or not biracial people get to be black. So,
but I feel like that's what it always goes down to, and like. On Twitter as well, like way back in the day, it would always be reduced to that. And then on TikTok is always either that, or if it's like a broader war, it's always gender.
Yeah.
Men versus women, gender wars, always. I think is a fan of mine. So I was like, all right, then it's not racist. That's all I needed to know. It's not fascist.
I want to say,
I stand by that. I'm Bayhive.
In front of the biggest audience I've ever had.
I'm Bayhive till I die. I don't know what this man is about to say.
No. Okay. Look. I am from Louisiana, hour from Texas. I, on Christmas Day, was watching that performance.
Phony, he's lying.
No. Look, I'm from Shreveport. Shout out to Cooper Road. Shout out to SODX BBG. Shout out to the Cooper Road. The whole thing is that, look.
He just learned those words just now before he...
I'm saying that performance slapped. I loved it. I had a whole video about how much it's like I resonated with it as a Southern black person, and then people just forgot that because of drama. You want to know the funniest thing said about me in the drama? I'm going to quote this. No, don't kill me. Here's the quote. The red pill pipeline doesn't begin with Andrew Tate or Ben Shapiro. It begins with people like Christian Divine.
Agreed. Facts.
That's what I'm here for.
That's why I brought you on, because it begins with me, and then it goes to you, and then it goes to Andrew Tate. That's so funny. Everyone, I mean, what you just described is something that people say about me all the time on both TikTok and virtually every other outlet. So I find it really funny.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me do my part of left.
Part of Bayhive is here. He's Lebanese. He's the creative director. Yeah, that's what I heard. Shut up. So tell him I'm sorry. He's from Shreveport.
It's one of the worst cities in Louisiana, but I love Shreveport. Shout out to Ratchet City. We got good donuts.
Okay. Anyway, I forgot to finish this TikTok. Let's finish this.
Not in a matter of national security, but in a matter of being the most popular news and media outlet that the government cannot control, like American-owned broadcasting networks and publications. Maybe, if this was actually a national security concern, the government would be banning all Chinese-developed apps, like Shein and Temu, that collect the exact same amount of data.
Okay, to be fair, like, they probably will.
Don't give them
ideas.
No, specifically, that came up in the Supreme Court case, and they were like,
no.
Who told you that wasn't next? And it's like, I guess not. So, like, they could very easily go to Shein and Temu next.
Yeah, they're coming after Temu now. I mean, that would actually be the greatest consumer protection advocacy that the American government accidentally landed on.
As TikTok, because maybe it knows TikTok is something special. You can't politically organize on Temu. If TikTok goes dark, The government deliberately and knowingly took away your free speech. Do not accept national security for an answer, ever.
I mean, I like that people are radicalized over losing their treats.
Yeah.
A woman.
So that's cool. Like that is, I mean, yeah, welcome. That is she's a fan, by the way, Hasan. Please be nice. No, I'm not shitting on her at all. I don't even disagree with what she's saying. But what I'm saying is that, you know, America does not give a fuck about free speech, dude. They never have. I mean, yeah, America loves free speech so much. They were like, wow, are you a revolutionary black leader exercising your free speech? Well, oops, you're dead now. We killed you.
Thank God. I want to say something publicly because my Apple disparagement clause is over ever since I did that Apple TV show ad. Okay, there's a show called The Big Cigar that talks about, I think it's Fred Hampton's life. And like, there's nothing more insulting to me than like killing a revolutionary leader and then making a TV show about it like 60 years later being, damn, it's crazy what the FBI did to that dude. And then like portraying it in the way that they did. That was an ass show and it's mad fucked. Sorry. They just like watered down. Sorry. Apple disparagement clause over. Wanted to get that out for a while.
MLK talking about Vietnam. How about a New York Times article telling him to shut up? That's true. They did do that. What is this? Oh my God. They've deployed the Nelk boys to Greenland.
Nelk boys. This
goes back to what I was saying. These guys are not even doing a good job. They don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, we're going to take Greenland. It doesn't matter. Is Christian a political commentator as well? I missed the introduction. Yes, he is. But yeah, apparently, while we were having this conversation, there was talks about Elon potentially purchasing TikTok. Chinese officials are evaluating a potential option, according to Bloomberg Technology, that involves Elon Musk acquiring TikTok's U.S. operations. The company fails to fend off a controversial ban on the app, which is devastating. But then Variety reached out to TikTok. TikTok has denied a report that it is looking at a potential sale to Elon Musk to keep the app operational in America amid a looming U.S. government ban. We can't be expected to comment on pure fiction tomorrow, or no, 2 days from now, right?
Yeah, an opinion. Well, an opinion might.
Yeah, an opinion. So that stay of execution and a potential extension, okay, even if that didn't come, what would end up happening is basically like TikTok would just not be updated. That's it. Like you could still
down U.S. operations, and I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I don't think that's
I don't think they would shut the servers down. I don't think so. I don't think TikTok will shut the servers down. Am I crazy? I just don't. They told SCOTUS the site would go offline. I think they're playing hardball, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Maybe I'm too positive about this. But Google and Apple can push phone updates to break the app. I don't think they would. Maybe Google, but I don't think Apple would. ByteDance go kicking and screaming before letting the U.S. take TikTok over. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like, because it's like obviously bullshit. I feel like,
but you have to remember. Okay. Like there is, like, what is the enforcement mechanism of ensuring that this ban goes through? You need the government to also follow through. You need to punish potentially Apple and Google for hosting and maintaining updates for TikTok. And I don't think these guys are going to do that. I don't think these guys are going to follow through on it, especially when they now have some semblance of protection from Donald Trump that said that he wants a stay of execution for TikTok.
Yeah, he's very directly expressed that. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he doesn't want it gone. So
Hasan, I'm going to get canceled for being wrong about America invading the TikTok service, putting my money on it. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know, but I just don't think so. I'm not 100% confident. Now that might change in the upcoming days. Who knows? But so many things are Chinese. Like so many things that we use on a day-to-day basis is touched by Chinese hands. So it's ridiculous. Kai's reaction to a firefighter knowing him.
Oh, Kai.
Who here watches Twitch? Anybody?
Is it the gaming one though?
Yeah, the gaming one. Yeah, I watch it a few times. Yeah, you guys got any favorite content creators? Like, are you doing Twitch? Kai Cenat? Yeah.
Come on now, nigga! Come on now, nigga! Come on now, nigga!
Yo, shout out to Kai.
Come on now, nigga! These niggas in jail watching.
Doing it for Shirt Kings everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge. The guy actually didn't say Kai Cenat, by the way. He said he said like Kai Kennett or something, which I thought was really funny. He's like Kai Kennett, but hey, he still knew him. Kai Kennett. We take those. Yeah, no. Lemonade is a replacement app for TikTok. No, it's not. Stop.
It's not. It's a ByteDance owned company explicitly.
I hate this. It's like people that just, this is the blue sky enjoyers in the chat. Oh no, I said the trigger word. I said the CIA MK Ultra activation word. Everyone's gonna go, why aren't you on blue sky? When are you getting on blue sky? Everyone, literally every day, there are thousands and thousands of people that are like, come on, Hasan, why don't you get on blue sky? Why don't you get on blue sky? Why don't you get on blue sky? Okay. The alternative to TikTok is not what you think it is. It's not Lemonade. Okay. The alternative to TikTok, as a matter of fact, is an even more Chinese application.
Xiaohongshu.
Xiaohongshu. Ladies and gentlemen, the red note. Xiaohongshu. The application CEO has welcomed the Americans. Xiaohongshu has become the #1 downloaded application in the United States of America as of yesterday. Okay. Red note, more like the red book. Am I right? Let's take a look at what he's saying.
Hey guys, just want to make a quick video about Xiaohongshu, introducing you guys to this platform. So tip number 1, we mainly use this platform for searching for suggestions, such as for restaurants, such as for shopping malls, even for like makeup tips. And secondly, this platform is mainly Chinese speaking, but do feel free to speak English and post English content, because I believe there are a lot more.
Why is this? That's not the actual CEO they were playing as.